check out what I found at the thrift store. This little gem. I know what you're thinking, yikes, that table's really rough looking, but here's the thing. It was so outdated and so beat up that they practically gave this to us for a steal. This table, I know, it's definitely seen better days, but it's got so much potential left in it, and it's got big plans to turn into something really beautiful and fresh. And I'm making it over for myself, for my own home. I found some matching chairs from the thrift store as well. So this dated piece is about to turn into a rustic farmhouse dream table, and it's going to be the perfect addition to my kitchen. You all might remember this kitchen table from my Dallas thrifting adventure that I went on, and I found this. The table was half off that day, plus another 30% off if I took it home that day because I bought a bunch of extra stuff. So that's right, it came out to around $30 total once I paid tax. Not bad for this little diamond in the rough. If you've watched my channel before, you know the first thing we need to do is get this cleaned. This was definitely a well-loved kitchen table, so we'll start out by using some simple green and give this a really good scrub. Okay, now that I've got this gross table cleaned, I am going to take off all of this failing finish, and I'm going to use a product that you've seen me use before a lot on this channel. It is called QCS, and this is a finish remover. It is not a chemical stripper. It will remove the finish, but it does so, it's eco-friendly, it's non-toxic. I don't have to wear a ton of PPE. I do wear gloves just because I want to save my nails and it is a little sticky, so I do recommend wearing gloves, but I don't need to wear a mask. I don't need to do anything like that to use this product. It really works in a matter of minutes, but I am going to cover this with some plastic and let it sit for just a little bit so I don't have to do as much work trying to get all of this finish off. I reused all the extra plastic that I could find from previous furniture flips before I had to go buy a new roll from Sherwin-Williams. Instead of watching paint dry, I grabbed a cup of tea and played a little June's Journey. That's a super fun hidden object mystery game set in the 1920s, and it's the perfect way to pass the time when I'm stuck between coats of paint or waiting for something to dry. You play as June Parker, the smart, independent woman trying to solve her sister's murder, and let's just say she uncovers way more family drama than she bargained for. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of flipping old furniture. You think it's a simple project and then bam, surprise mystery underneath the surface. I've been playing June's Journey for years, and it is my go-to when I'm looking for a way to unwind and catch a good mystery. You even get to decorate your own island, which obviously I really love, plus the bold colors and gorgeous 1920s furniture in the game. You know me, I'm always taking notes for furniture flips. There's a new chapter every week, so it never gets old. If you want to know what June is uncovering, you can download the game through the link in my description or just scan the QR code on the screen. And if you let me know in the comments that you downloaded June's Journey, I'll share my player name with you so we can share bushes and help each other out. Be sure to check out June's Journey. I know you're gonna love it as much as I do. Now let's get back to the flip. When I got my set of detail brushes, it came with this one, which I really don't use very often. So I thought, let's use this to remove all of the stain. The bristles are pretty densely packed and they're pretty stiff, so it should do a really good job at getting off all of that furniture, the polish stripper that is on there. I'm trying to work smarter and not harder, so that way if I use this, it'll probably come off a little bit easier. I'm going to link these down below if you're interested. These are actually to detail cars, but I use them for something totally different. If I didn't have these, I would use steel wool or a really firm bristle brush to get this off of there. But we're going to try this and see if we can make it go a little faster. Hey, real quick, if you are enjoying this type of content, would you do me the biggest favor and hit that subscribe button? I am on a mission this year to hit 100,000 subscribers, and I can only do it with your help. So if you love this type of content, I would love to keep you around. Thanks. The finish remover has been removed, everything is dry, so now I'm going in on this base with my Surf Prep 3x4 inch Ray sander. I've got 120 grit on the pad here to just remove any leftover finish, and I am just super amazed at how quickly this is coming off. That furniture stain remover works so well, it barely takes any time with my sander to get off any of the residual. Okay, so here we are. This is day 3, mainly because mom duties have interfered with the project, but that's okay. We're getting close to the end of the school year, and there's been a lot of stuff that I've needed to do with the kids, so this project has had to have a little extra dry time, but it's all good. So I have had some good amount of dry time in between removing the finish and then using the cleanser to get all the sticky off and then letting that dry completely before I can sand it. So that's taken a little bit longer, but really the amount of time on this has just been my schedule. But today we've got some weather moving in. I just noticed it started to rain right now as I was talking. So this should be interesting, but this should be one of my last days today. So let's see what we can get done before this storm comes in. The first round of stripper I put on this just removed that lacquered top coat. You can still see some of it bubbling up here. The second round that I put on now is going to remove the finish and the stain color. So this did take 2 coats to get through that really thick top coat. So I'm just gonna reactivate this a little bit, and then we should be able to scrape a lot of that stain color right back off. The storm looks like it's here to stay, but I have to keep working. So this did dry. So I am out here and now I'm gonna sand it. I've got a 120 grit on my Surf Prep 5-inch orbital sander here, and I'm gonna get down and see what's underneath all of this remaining stain and all these nicks and dings that are all over here, and see what we have. I've worked my way up all the grits on this table so it feels a lot smoother than it was to begin with. I went all the way up to a 180. If I take it up higher than that, I risk my stain not absorbing well, so that's normally where I'll stop. But now I'm gonna make sure that I have all of that sanding dust off of there. I'm using a tack cloth, and I'm just gonna go over the surface of the table and the legs just to make sure, like, look, from that little swipe, all of that was still on there. So you gotta get all that sanding dust off before we can go to the next step. The storm has let up for a minute, which is pretty perfect timing because for this step, I need the garage door open. So I am taking some oil-based pre-stain. Yes, this is pre-stain. This jar has been well loved, but that's what's in this can. And I am going to apply it all over the table because I know I'm going to do an oil-based stain on this. I'm not sure what color just yet. I'm going to go check out Pinterest and see what I'm liking because there's a few different options. I should have it on hand. I think I've got just about every stain color up there in the cabinet. So I'll decide on that while this is drying. But I've got some lint-free rags. These are just old t-shirts that I cut up. And I'll apply just one layer of this pre-stain, and that's going to make sure that my next step absorbs really well into this table. Now that we're ready to stain this, I'm actually going to try something that I saw on Pinterest that's been going, having a little viral moment over there as far as stains that work and mixing two together and what they look like. So I went to Lowe's and picked them up. So I have got this weathered oak stain. This is going to be the first part. It's got some gray undertones in it, and it's going to help knock out any of this yellow orangey that I still have on here. We're not going gray. That's definitely not the direction we want to go. And then the follow-up, I already had this one, as you can tell, is this is special walnut. So this one stays on a little bit longer. The gray, the weathered oak, you put on and wipe back pretty quickly. The special walnut you leave on for a little bit longer. You don't mix them together. That's the thing. Like, I'm not doing a 50-50 mix with these. I'm putting it on, wiping it off, putting the other one on, wiping that off. So it's a two-step process. I grabbed some staining pads. These are my favorite things to put stain on with. They're a little bit pricier than those foam brushes, but I think you get better coverage with these. So I picked up some of these, and as always, I've linked everything below that I'm using today so you can check that out. But I'm holding my breath as I'm putting this first coat on. All right, that first coat was on there. I wiped it back a little bit, but it didn't seem to, I don't know, really do what I wanted it to do. It didn't do what it looked like it did on the Pinterest versions, I can tell you that much. So I'm just gonna go ahead with the second coat, which is special walnut, and see what we get after that. Now for the last step before I stage this, I am going to use Varathane's Matte Poly. This is a water-based poly. I'm using water-based because if I use oil, it's going to turn it more of that yellowy amber color, and I do not want that color at all. So I have waited the sufficient amount of time to be able to use a water-based product on top of an oil-based product. You don't want to just wait till it's dry. You want to allow a lot more dry time than that, like 2 days, before you can move forward with a water-based product on top of oil. So just be aware of that. And then again, I'm not going to choose the oil-based one because it's going to make it more amber, more yellow, and that is definitely not what I want. And I want this really nice matte finish, which I find this Varathane product is definitely going to give me. So let's get this loaded into my Wagner sprayer. I'm going to put on probably 4 good coats of this because it is going to be my kitchen table. The part that you're not going to see me do, because I am just going to run out of time before I would be able to allow 4 solid coats, is in between each coat, I'm going to take a 400 grit sand pad and just get off any lumps and bumps, any little dust bunnies that might have settled while it was drying. And then on the very last coat, I'm going to use a paper bag just to do a really smooth sand on the top, and it'll make my kitchen table like butter. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I hope you loved this flip as much as I do. I am so excited to use this in my home. I think it's going to be perfect. And as you can hear, it is still storming. We worked through the storms on this one. Probably going to wait for this rain and this weather to go away before I get out the next flip, but you know it's coming. A big thank you to June's Journey for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to check out that link below. Join me over there. I know you're going to love it just as much as I do. I have linked another fan favorite dining table flip to this video. Be sure to check that one out next. It has tons of views. Everybody loved that. And that table also is still standing in my dining room to this day. Everyone loves it. It's gorgeous, but you have to see what it looked like when I started. So be sure to leave me a comment here, leave me a comment over there, and letting me know you checked out that video as well. And I look forward to seeing you next time at Lemons to Lemonade Furniture.